Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it. First off, we're going to start off with the so-so segments of Monday Night Raw. The only thing I could really think of was Randy Orton beating Sheamus. I've seen this match, I've seen it plenty of times, and I don't know if it was the placing on the card it came on. I believe it was the last actual match. And it just didn't hold my interest, to be honest with you. Sheamus' character is very stale to me right now. He needs something drastic, either a heel change or a different turn and on the happy-go-lucky Irish brawler gimmick he's doing. Just something different. Even when he was the King of the Ring Sheamus, I thought that was cooler than the just generic, to me, watered down version of John Cena that he portrays most of the time. So overall, his matches come off as bland and boring to me because I find his character bland and boring. Coming off of that, we're going to go into our bad portions of the night. Now, the first one is a doozy. WWE recycled the TNA Claire Lynch gimmick that everybody universally hated. We had Stephanie McMahon bring out Daniel Bryan's personal trainer, Megan Miller, who accuses Bryan of having an affair with her, which brings out Brie Bella. Brie Bella slaps Megan Miller. Her and Stephanie get into it a little bit, which leads later on, I'm combining the two things into one, to Brie getting arrested. The build for this feud has been rolling along solid. It's been doing well. There's an interest in it. Now, you go in and you bring in this shit, and I don't, no offense to the wrestler portraying Megan Miller, it's not your fault. You're contracted by WWE, they want to give you a job, they tell you this is what you're going to do. It's a break, you take it. Understand. This was just garbage though. You recycled probably the worst gimmick TNA's ever did. The most universally hated. And you get the same reaction. People universally panned and hated this, including myself. It was so bad that when I do my ratings later, it's going to reflect on that. But anyway, just a terrible portion, a terrible segment, two terrible segments actually, because I combined them into one. Just left a very bad taste in my mouth. Next up, we have Heath Slater beating Dolph Ziggler by countout because of Miz's interference. Match was okay. The semi-push they're giving Slater I enjoy. I just don't know. It just didn't hit for me. To me it was, and again it could have been the placement. This was one of the later in the show matches. Could have been the stink of the Stephanie segment carrying through onto this, but to me it didn't hit. It left me not enjoying it, and that's bad to me. Now coming off of that, we're going to go into our question of the week. The question of the week last week was, do you think they were overhyping the WWE Network and the price point, which continued into this week, so still probably could run this question until the WWE Network subscriptions are up to the level they think they should be. Here are some answers for some of our friends. First is from my cousin, John Forget. Yes, did you know it's only $9.99 with a 6-month agreement? If you didn't, you sure do now. Maybe the thought was if you drill it, they will come. I know it's hard to be fresh week in and week out, but come on, man. With all the wrestlers out there, if they can fill time with something better than a WWE app plug. I definitely agree. Next is from our good friend Closure Damas. Way too much. I understand the initial 6-month period expires in a couple weeks, but the infomercial Closure style approach to selling the network is just annoying. Next from our friend Dizzle Pup. Yeah, it was like an infomercial. And on top of that, the app pushing is annoying too for an international viewer. We don't get Raw until Wednesday afternoon, so the live on the app is fucking ridiculous. Good point that I never actually thought of. I don't like the app for different reasons, personally, because when they have the 2-minute commercial break, I want to take a break and go to the bathroom, 3-hour show, get a drink, maybe get a snack, send an email out, other stuff I could be doing in that 2-minute break that we get between segments. Next up's our friend Luke Norman. I live in the UK and it's really annoying when they keep going buy the network for $9.99 when I can't get it. October, Luke, you'll be able to get it. And last but not least, our good friend Benjamin Mean19. Yes, the network plugs are annoying, but it also is bad for business. Corporations tend to tell customers how much value for money something is when they feel it is inexpensive, but often that view doesn't line up with public opinion. Often customers feel the corporation's inexpensive pricing is average price or even expensive. By plugging the price as fair, potential customers will assume that the product is worthless than its price and lose interest. I actually never thought of that. That's a great point. And I have the WWE Network. As you see, I do shows based off of that. I have friends that have asked me, knowing that I have the network, hey, is the $9.99 worth it? So really, I guess subconsciously, that is put in there. And I totally agree with everybody, just to get my opinion out of the way first. Yeah, they're going way too hard with it. Now, the little commercial promo they did that they made, that they debuted last week and it played this week again, with little clips of everything that's on there, I thought that was fabulous. If they run that, and maybe, just put it on here and there, they could put it in the corner, just a selling point, WWE Network, go to WWE.com. That would be okay, or the scrolling thing that they do every now and again on the bottom of the screen. I'd be okay with that, but with wrestlers doing it in their promos, it being on Hulk Hogan's cake, the $9.99, I get it because he's the ambassador for the WWE Network, but it's just way too over the top and too pushy. It's like when you go and you visit someone's house and they're like, hey, do you want to have a hamburger? We just ate dinner, we got some leftovers, have a hamburger. Well, no, I just came from dinner myself. No, have a hamburger. No, I just came from dinner myself. No, you gotta have one of the hamburgers. We're gonna throw them away anyway. We insist. And they force it on you. This kind of feels like what the WWE is doing. They tout everything about it going to Canada, where it's only going to be in, I think, less than a quarter of the country is going to have access to it. One of their biggest markets, Canada, and less than a quarter of the country is going to have access. The United Kingdom isn't getting it till October. Another huge market that they're alienating and might actually get sick of the product and hearing about this stupid network by the time it gets to them. Just their thinking. Other places like Australia, all around the world, the network is going to get its subscribers. And through word of mouth, it's going to get out there and people are going to buy it. There are going to be people that jump off. To me, it's of value. Because even if I only buy 2 pay-per-views a year, that's $60 a clip. That's $120. That's the same price I spend on the network. So therefore, now I get 12 pay-per-views, 5 of which are probably high quality. Let's just be honest. The other 7 are fillers. Then I get the wonderful NXT show, the surprisingly good Legends House, access to the entire pay-per-view history of WCW, WWE, and ECW, plus some other things mixed in there. Legends of Wrestling roundtables are amazing. I love them. Watched every one they have, and I want them to put out new ones. But again, the over and over the top hammering of the network and the price point, it's just ridiculous. Tone it down a bit. We don't need to hear it every single match, every single promo, every single time you come from break. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go a little bit lighthearted because that was obviously is something very negatively responded to. Not that it wasn't well deserved. We're going to go a little lighthearted on this one. What's been your favorite WWE/WWF logo? Is it the old school silver and gold Hulk Hogan Rockin' Wrestling era logo? Is it the yellow logo they had prior to that, the yellow and blue one? Is it the scratch logo? Is it the New Generation era logo? Is it the WWE scratch logo? Or is it the new logo that's going to be debuting by the time this show airs next week? Our next WWE show, I mean. Let us know what your favorite logo is. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Facebook. Put it down where? Down in the comments. Now we're going to get into our good segment of the show. And they started off the show with probably, I would say, my favorite segment of the night with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming in the ring, cutting a promo, and Heyman starts rapping. I mean, no one would ever thought of that. No one would ever considered Paul Heyman to come out and rap. Yet he does it, and he makes it interesting. Just a great example of how good Paul Heyman is. And, just a great opener for the show, which leads us into our first match of the night. Roman Reigns in a handicap match set up by Kane versus Ryback and Curtis Axel. Obviously, Curtis Axel and Ryback are sent out there to injure Roman Reigns. They get themselves disqualified trying to do so, which he turns around and takes care of them. I think the good outweighed the bad. I think you guys are going to understand the bad I have when I think a team that's been pretty good, like Ryback, getting squashed by getting taken out by one man, is not so great. But the continued build of Roman Reigns intrigues me, and I'd like to see them continue with his push. Next up, we have Rob Van Dam versus one of Reigns' old running buddies, Seth Rollins. Rollins picks up the win in a very good match, showcased his skills against a guy that is cemented in fans' minds as being a superstar, megastar. After the match, we see him go to the presence on the stage for the later on Hulk Hogan segment, which he never opened, by the way. And there's a giant box, which he looks around thinking it's Ambrose. He decides it's not, turns his back, and lo and behold, Ambrose comes out of the box and attacks him. A good thing, I think they're setting up this feud for SummerSlam very well. I think it's going to be a fun match. I think it's probably going to be one of the most looked to matches on the show. Next up, we have Jack Swagger versus Cesaro. Swagger picks up the win after a very good match. Cesaro's kind of in limbo right now. I don't know why. I think the guy is uber talented. I just don't. Sometimes I don't understand the decisions that some of the upper people in WWE make. A big win for Swagger, leading into a big match with Rusev, which we see after Zeb and Swagger talking. Rusev and Lana come out and do promos, which is pretty much par for course with these guys, waving the flags back and forth. But I think it's, again, Swagger's looking strong going into the pay-per-view, which is good. Next on, we have the sit-down interview with Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho. This is why I hesitated earlier talking about the promo with Paul Heyman. This and something else that happened later also just was so great and so well done by two guys that are absolute masters of the mic. They really should do more of these sit-down interviews and have them use more in the show. Next up, we have AJ Lee versus Eva Marie. Paige comes out, causes a distraction. Eva picks up the win. Paige does a spoken word poetry kind of thing, almost like Paul Heyman rapping. Just as effective, just as cool. We see AJ take out her frustrations, decimating Eva Marie after the match. So obviously the mind games that Paige is playing are getting to her. So again, yet another good step in building the SummerSlam pay-per-view. Next up, we had John Cena's promo, and we had Serious Cena. And go back and if you watch my shows or our shows through the history of this, you will see that when John Cena cuts a serious promo, I am extremely high on it. He's one of the best at doing it. Too often he falls into that playful, kidding around promo. When he cuts these promos like this, he's just as good, or if not better, than anybody in the world at it. And again, selling the SummerSlam pay-per-view. A great point that I keep saying over and over again, but they really did an excellent job in selling the pay-per-view during this Monday Night Raw. Last but not least, the other reason why I hesitated when I called the Heyman segment the best, the Hulk Hogan birthday celebration. Overly cheesy, everybody knows. We had Jimmy the Mouth of South Hart there, Gene Okerlund, Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. We had Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and the reformation of the original NWO, Nash and Hall come down, which this is the part I love more than anything. Hall does his survey, asks the fans if they want to see Hogan in the red and yellow or in the black and white. Fans obviously say, just as they did during the original survey era, we want the black and white. Hogan rips off his shirt, has an NWO shirt under it. Just a cool little thing. Throwback to all us fans that have been watching forever. I like the segment. Then you get Brock Lesnar coming out, kind of staring down all of the legends, getting in Hogan's face before Cena comes out and runs him off. Again, selling SummerSlam while paying respect to one of the all-time legends in the wrestling business, Hulk Hogan. One takeaway that I'm a bit disappointed about is Sting not coming out. Everybody kept expecting to see Sting. I kind of hoped when they did the NWO reveal that we would either see Sting somewhere in the crowd pointing the bat at him, or in the rafters, or something at the very least. Just a little bit of a takeaway. Didn't take away my overall enjoyment though. Just something they could have added to make it more enjoyable. Now coming off of that, we're going to go into our ratings for the week. Now, if you've seen the show before, even if you haven't, we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. 1 is a Great Khali, 2 is a Heath Slater, 3 is a Stardust, 4 is a Cesaro, 5 is a Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give this show a 3 as Stardust. I honestly thought the SummerSlam hype and the SummerSlam build-up was excellent. Thought the Hogan birthday celebration was excellent. Probably would have gave the show a 5 if not for the Stephanie McMahon shit with the Megan Miller thing. That whole thing left such a bad taste in my mouth that it made me look negatively at segments that came after it, as well as looking negatively at the show overall. But overall, middle of the road show just because of that. A 3, a Stardust. And basically that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.